Welcome, everybody. We're recording this on August 26th, 2025, and it's roughly the 1 year anniversary of when Gene decided with Cindy to change his life for the better in a major way. Um, who wants to go first? What was the what condition? What was the condition for Gene a year ago?
You're the best to answer that.
You want me to say? Well,
And
I,
it's an impartial judge.
right. Wives are always impartial, right? um, Jean had been struggling with memory issues, a lot of anxiety, lack of motivation. Gosh, I mean, a very,
It sounds like the average American.
yeah, a little beyond that, to the
Okay.
point where he was not able to work. He had been a NICU nurse, for 26 years or so.
Could you just
And
tell people what that is, an NICU nurse?
As a nurse that takes care of babies that are premature, like 23 weekers, 25 weekers.
So
I
that's a
mean,
pretty high responsible position to have in a hospital.
yeah, you have to know what you're doing. You have to know your techniques and what to do as far as tendering the babies because they're sensitive in a lot of different ways that other people aren't.
And you've been doing that for years.
Like 26 years.
Wow.
Yeah,
So sorry,
I was a fireman before that, so I decided to mellow it out a little bit. And
kind of a similar type of job though, in a way.
yeah, taking care of people that are in need.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm sorry, Cindy, I interrupted you. So that's what Gene was doing
yes,
previously.
right. And so in December of 22, he actually had to leave that job because he was not able to perform his job anymore. He couldn't remember kind of the basic techniques that they were using. He had to keep asking other nurses for reinforcement. He didn't have any confidence in himself. He went from being a trainer to kind of being trained on the job in something he'd done for a long, long time. And they took him from the high acuity babies down to what they call feeder growers, the little babies that are just about ready to go home. So, not a lot of medication, not a lot of different interventions being done. They're just basically being fed until they can be discharged from the hospital.
Gotcha. And I know Gene's a bit of a farmer, or at least a tractor operator. Um, talk about
Tra Tractor operator.
tractor operator and repairman.
Yeah, I used to be that too. Not so much anymore.
Yeah. But
Lose You lose your confidence when you get something like this, and that's kind of detrimental.
sure, sure. And then I believe for a period there was no driver's license.
That is correct. So Cindy had to drive me wherever we went.
Yeah. So for about 6 months, once we finally got a diagnosis, which took a year and a half to even figure out what was going on, very frustrating there.
Yeah,
Then he got a diagnosis of Lewy body dementia, and that was in May of 24. And then in August of 24, I sent you a message, Ken, and I said, okay, Ken, if anybody knows what to do, you're going to know what to do or who to go to because, they are talking about all these medications and Gene's just not a person anymore at the moment. He's just kind of there and not interacting with us at all. And I was really concerned about him and wanted to know what could we do.
yeah.
And you said, well, there's this gal named Linda Scotson. Have you talked to her?
Yep.
Great. So let's talk about the process. Uh, I guess Linda, I guess Linda wasn't terribly concerned about the name of the diagnosis, right? That wasn't a big issue to her.
No, didn't seem to concern her at all. She just said, "Yep, well, I've got this technique that'll work on your diaphragm and get more oxygen flowing through your body. It'll make your brain function better. I've got this crawling that you'll do, and it will loosen you up, make you less rigid, make you much more mobile. And yeah, let's
Yeah.
get started."
Increase the circulation, which is really important.
Hey, Gene, do you remember how hard the crawling was in the beginning?
I was pretty stiff, couldn't move very well. Um, and I remember it was painful to do actually, stretching out. And I used to get frustrated with her. She would say, "You need to do this." I go, I can't do that. It took time to work into it.
It's a surprise to all of us when we, as adults, when we get down on the floor and try to crawl. It's not so easy.
the people make jokes, when they make jokes about it, they get on the floor and they help I've fallen, and that's you realize that it's pretty serious, and it's true. You, that's a judge, that's a measure. They tell us to get down on the ground and they watch us and see how we do it, if we're able to do it.
Who does that?
The doctors that we go see,
Oh, really? Oh, that's a diagnostic they use, huh?
yeah,
But they don't have any idea on how to make it better, though.
no, they just say stay active and eat healthy, and that's their patented answer.
And we can give you this med and this med and this med.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, I could do that job.
You could.
You could,
So it was hard in the beginning, and part of it was stiffness. I'm based on my own experience, because I'm crawling too now. The coordination is a lot trickier than you would think it should be. Like you
right.
think, well, it's just crawling. How hard can it be? But to do it right, and Linda's quite a taskmaster, if I can say so.
He really concentrates on form,
Mm.
get you to do the right form to get the right flow of the oxygen through the diaphragm and through the rest of the body. Just everyday movements that she watches and gives advice on form.
Did you notice how much there is to discover about crawling as you're getting better and better? Like there's a lot of parts to it. It's not as simple as it looks.
This is true. Yes.
As an observer, I would watch and I'd think, oh, he's doing pretty well. We've got this motion down. And then we'd have a call with Linda and she'd say, okay, Gene, you need to work on this little teeny tiny detail that you would never have thought of. But each time it just kind of got perfected. I'd say a little bit more and a little bit more. And then
Yep.
she'd teach you a new little strategy. And yeah, it's
Yep.
a process.
And
She studied babies and learned how they breathe and are successful moving, growing, and brings us back to us. I've always thought about that. We start out as babies with people taking care of us, and we end up with as babies, people taking care of us.
but it turns out one of the great exercises of the world is just crawling, we'll say correctly. Um,
Yeah,
so I'm trying to remember the time frame. So if I have it wrong, let me know. But within 3 months, you, you were starting to show like reversal and progress.
right. My wife, one of the complaints my wife had was that I didn't focus on anything. I was off in another land, and she started to notice that I was paying attention more and contributing to conversations where I wasn't before. So,
Gotcha. And then at what point did you go to the state of Arizona and say, let me take a driving test?
well, it was actually suggested by my doctor.
Oh,
He thought, well, you're feeling the way you are and acting the way you are with your diagnosis, and then you need to think about safety because they put you on medication different. They try different medications and it affects you differently, and that can affect your driving. And the doctor, because I was on the medication that they had put me on, said we suggest you get a driving test and make sure you're able to drive. That because it does make you really tired, the medications. So best thing to do is just get off of them or not start them at all in the beginning. So
And the only medication he was on, Ken, was just an anxiety medication. So Gene's not quite remembering that part right because
yeah.
he probably wasn't, highly focused at that time. Basically, they said once he got the diagnosis for Lewy body dementia, that if he were ever to be in an accident, that could definitely be an issue. You've got this diagnosis. Should you be driving? And so they suggested that he take an intensive called independence, driving to independence. So an assessment that was in June. And I really didn't think he would pass it, to be honest. And I wouldn't have driven with him at that point. And he hadn't really been driving very much. So it wasn't until we got to November, after we'd been working with Linda for 3 months, that he was much more focused and much more aware of what we were doing and what was going on. And at that point, we went and had the assessment done.
So just 3 months after the treatments, or I don't even call it treatments. It's
therapy.
therapy. Yeah, training.
Yep.
So just 3 months from day one to going back and getting the license was a big procedure. It's not just You don't just show up and say, "Hey, give me my license back."
Correct. It was 4 hours that I was with this person, this trainer or observer, and so it was a long time. It was a lot of driving, continuous driving, and we had written tests. Uh, but yeah, it was quite extensive. I was surprised. I
And
because sorry for interrupting. As a fireman, I used to take driving courses all the time as part of my job,
hmm.
driving a fire engine. So I had experience with that kind of stuff, and I was still really, really surprised by the extensive testing they did.
Well, imagine giving somebody their license back is a big deal. It's more than just, renewing or enhancing an existing license.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Right. Right. So the
It's,
state, oh, so what happens also, Ken, is that when a diagnosis like that comes up in the state of Arizona, the Department of Motor Vehicles is notified. So they had required him as well to prove that he was able to drive if he chose to get his license back. So it's kind of a double sword. The doctor was telling him you shouldn't be driving, and the state was saying you can't drive until you take this assessment. And we weren't ready to take it initially, but then after working with Linda, I mean, we had such a good improvement that yeah,
yeah.
you did great.
And are you driving around now?
Yep. Drive all by myself. Yeah.
I heard you took a trip to Las Vegas
Um,
on your birthday.
And we went to Prescott. We've been to Prescott a few times.
Oh, Prescott. Why did I think Las Vegas?
Oh, we went to Los Angeles for a cruise. Maybe you're thinking that.
Oh, Los Angeles. Okay.
Yes. So we drove to Los Angeles. Hmm.
yeah.
And driving for you is I've done that drive. I've driven from Tucson to Los Angeles actually. It's not around the block.
No, it's a long, boring drive, is what I think of it.
It is. And right before you get to California, maybe right after you cross the border, it's like a moonscape. Those
Yeah.
weird rocks and everything.
Hmm.
Yep.
Very odd part of the country.
Yeah.
Um, so now Linda, in addition to the crawling, also does, and we were always struggling to find the right words for gentle pressures, nurturing pressures on basically the abdomen area. Have you been doing those as well as part of in addition to the crawling?
Yes. Cindy actually does the maneuvers on me, and has to do with pressure points and movements in different areas of the body, and that helps the circulation. So that's,
Yeah. No, we just say it's time to diaphragm you. Let's go. So
yeah.
that's what we call it.
That's a good one. That's a good verb. Let's diaphragm. Um, and Linda trains you, of course, in how to do that.
Yeah.
Yes. In
What was
fact,
your?
I'm sorry,
Go ahead.
a couple months ago, so 2 calls ago, I said, "Hey, Linda, can we just have a refresher? Because, we're doing it on our own and it's easy to get off track or adjust a little bit what we're doing." So she walked us very carefully through the whole process again, kind of got us back on track, added a little bit. So that was really helpful to us because even, 10 months down the road, it's still helpful to go through a refresher.
It's very relaxing, I will say that.
Yeah, and it seems so simple. It's hard to imagine that something so simple would be effective. What was your initial response to it when Linda was first teaching you the pressures? Were you skeptical? Were you confused? Did you like it? Did you just
I
want?
was a little bit skeptical, but it seemed to work, and I liked it. It felt good. We did it usually in the evening, so Cindy would do the maneuvers, and I'd be asleep.
That's what I hear often. It's a good way to put yourself to sleep.
Yeah,
She,
I
al-
did.
she says that she does it also on herself in the morning before she gets out of bed.
Hmm.
And I've been doing that, and it helps. I have more energy in the day than I think than I would otherwise have.
Yeah, and it's a lot of times you don't realize how it does affect you. I was thinking just the other day, Cindy had asked me before I was thinking as I was thinking about it, that it felt good and I feel more energy and I'm more awake. So I know it's helping me. And when Cindy asked me about it, I thought, oh, well, that just confirms what I was feeling. So that's good. Checking up on each other, reminding each other what we're doing.
Yeah, it can be subtle. You know, it's not like a sledgehammer, but and I think the
Right.
other part of it is diligence, which I know you've been to, you know, that you just stuck with it and keep doing it. Um, and I realize at our age, health maintenance is a big deal.
Yeah.
And the great thing is you can actually do things to maintain your health. Um, we're always pushed to lift weights and do cardio, and I'm not sure that that's the answer to every health problem, you know. And I think what Linda's doing is besides being unique, is extremely effective. Um, so what's a typical day then? So are you still crawling during the day?
Yeah, I crawl about every other day.
Every other day? I hear you on that. I miss some days myself. Are you doing 30 minutes a day?
Yes.
Oh, it's an amazing day when I do 30. I usually get in at least 15.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I do it. And then you mentioned that the pressures, the diaphragming is usually in the evening.
Yes.
Hmm.
Usually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tried doing it in the morning, but I honestly just put him back to sleep. So,
Yeah, I could see that. I could see how that could happen. Um, so what would you say to other people that find themselves in a situation like this where they've gotten, some kind of a diagnosis and there's obvious, visible issues? Um, uh, would you recommend they try this?
I would definitely recommend it. Recommend getting a hold of Linda and following her. We all need to exercise, and this is a professional way to do it.
Has
Uh,
she ever worked with either of you on her walking method?
um,
no, she's
Okay.
watched Jean walk, but she hasn't.
Oh, okay.
Uh-uh.
When a couple of years ago, that's what her focus was, and then uh, she's been doing crawling actually for decades, but it was
Hmm.
mainly she mainly saw it as a rehab or a training method for children with cerebral palsy,
Hmm.
um, that it helped them learn to coordinate and learn to move. And then I guess it popped into her head to try it with adults and on herself, and she loves it. She's getting good results. If I did it more, I'd probably get even better results, but I definitely am getting results that I can notice for sure.
yeah.
Hmm.
You
Well,
just got to really stick to it and make sure you do it. No matter what exercise it is that you're doing, you got to stick to it.
Well, the nice thing about this exercise, even though it can be hard in the beginning and it can even be painful,
Yes.
um, uh, it doesn't beat you up in the long term. Like it's not like, there are a lot of exercises like lifting weights can be dangerous. You can injure, a lot of people injure themselves lifting weights. A little reported fact. Running, a lot of people injure themselves running. So
hmm.
all these things that are held up as quote great exercise have downsides. This has, my experience has a little bit of a, a preload where you have some discomfort and pain, but as you get into it over months, it's not painful anymore. You're not wearing yourself out.
Yep. You just get more flexible and it becomes easier.
So a year in, are you finding yourself making continuous progress on your flexibility?
Yes. I still am 63 years old, so I'm gonna feel some problems from that. But yes.
That's great.
Well, and one thing, Ken, and we had a call with Linda last week, and she told us, "Oh, I just had my birthday. I'm 80 years old now." And then she said, "But I feel like I felt 20 years ago. My brain may not be quite there. Oh, no, not her brain. My body may not look like it used to, but I feel like I used to." And she is the most flexible lady I have
Yeah,
ever
I can't
seen.
keep up.
It's astonishing. She gets up on that table to demonstrate,
Hmm.
and I don't know many people of any age that are that flexible. I mean, she's sort of teenager level of flexibility. Uh,
Hmm.
have you seen she put someone shot her put on TikTok, uh, her running through her garden?
Oh, no.
No.
Yeah, to celebrate her 80th birthday. It's pretty impressive. and so there's still room for improvement, you know. Now,
Yeah.
uh, Cindy, are you crawling?
So this is funny. I've, crawled off and on with Jean, but last week Linda said, okay, you need to crawl also. So I'm going to ask you in a month if you're crawling. So I have crawled every day since then. Yes.
Excellent.
And
Excellent.
it does. It feels really good. It just kind of stretches you out. It's very, I don't know, it's just a nice fluid motion. I have a replaced knee, but
Oh,
it doesn't really bother it when I crawl on it. So
well, that's good.
yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
I noticed that once you get over the hump and you're like hurting, um, it's fun. Like once you start, it's like, oh yeah, I can easily do this for another 15 minutes or 20 minutes.
hmm
You know, it's not a burden. And then it's, of course, Linda recommends, especially when you're starting, if you need to rest in the middle, just rest and recover. It's not a marathon.
yeah, right. And, we just have a mat that goes kind of out our bedroom door, down the hallway, about 20 feet long. So it works
Yeah.
great.
Oh, that's great.
We moved to a different house, and the logistics of that was a little bit difficult trying to figure out when you buy a house that has a hallway long enough to put the carpet down.
Yeah.
But that's important. Yeah.
I think that'll be a new feature in houses of the future. They have to have a long crawling uh, track for
Yeah.
everybody. I got these great mats,
Balance from,
balance from,
Oh,
balance
it's
from.
from.
and
Okay.
it's 6 feet long and it folds up
Okay.
and it has handles
Nice.
if you want to carry it somewhere.
Yeah.
And I have three of them, so I have an 18-foot track, and
hmm
it's I believe it's 3 feet wide.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll look up that one. Ours is not that cushy, that's for sure.
They're reasonable. I can't remember what it cost, but I wasn't shocked by the
hmm
price.
hmm
I was first when we first started out, we were doing it on carpet, and I was ruining my socks and my clothes and on my knees and my elbows.
You're one of the pioneers. The pioneers get all the arrows in the back, unfortunately. Um, yeah, but now we know. Now we know we can get these cushy pads, and it's much better. Um, well,
Yep.
great. Unless there's something else that you want to say, I think we've pretty much told the story so people understand what it is and how it unfolded and what they can do for themselves if they want to make similar progress.
Yeah, the only thing I would add, Ken, sorry, Jean, is just I cannot even stress the difference between how Gene was before we started this and how he is now. Just a simple thing, we would go on, little family outings, and Gene was always 15 or 20 feet behind everybody. We would have to stop and wait. And his shuffling gait, he just would shuffle along. His voice was much quieter. The first time we talked to you, I think you could hardly hear him.
Hmm.
And I've seen a big difference in his voice,
Oh,
and he has
tremendous.
emotion. He smiles now. His face is not just straight and placid. And the only thing that we have done differently is Linda's therapy, because we have declined any medications that they have offered him
Yeah.
and just worked on what Linda has suggested because we've seen such good changes. And he's even going to start to wean off that anxiety meds. So I'm excited
Yeah.
about that.
We
Great.
have one more decrease in milligrams on the anxiety medication, and I'll be off of it. We'll see
That's
how that.
great. That'll be very interesting to see the
Yeah.
effect of being off it. Yeah, it turns out that oxygen and movement is a very good medication,
Yes, it is.
and it,
Absolutely.
and it has no adverse effects that we know of, right?
But
Um,
you have to stick with it. You can't.
yeah, that's the key. I'm so glad you said that. It's not a free lunch, and yet I don't think you were ever looking for a free lunch. You know, you just wanted what to be able to do something, and thank God for Linda and what her discoveries and her diligence and her teaching ability. We've got something to do instead of just I don't know what the alternative. I don't know what the alternative is, frankly.
I think when you see it in our elderly parents, well, what to expect if you don't do something.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, thanks, guys. Thanks for the time and thanks for sharing your story.
You
Good
bet.
talking to you, Ken.
Yep.